I gaslit myself into a place where I started to just ignore all of my signals. So these were some of the signals that I got that I wanted to share with you today. Hey, my name is Melissa Lane, and I'm obsessed with all things self-empowerment, self-development, spirituality, and holistic healing to help you navigate this thing called life in a more fulfilled way. Ever felt like you missed the class on how life works? So did I. I'm just a regular girl who grew up not understanding how to create success, where to find fulfillment, or how to live a life that I actually enjoyed. So I went on a journey of self-discovery, and it led me to the realization that everything about living a fulfilling life can be learned. And so the Lifecraft podcast was born. Here, you'll learn how to stop letting life just happen to you and how to begin crafting a life you can actually get excited about. No topic is off limits here, from the scientific to the mystical and everything in between. Difficulties, failures, growth, victories, and more are all real life happenings that myself and our guests will discuss. Think of this as your library to life, where you can tune in whenever you feel like you have no idea what you're doing. Get ready to be challenged and encouraged to craft a life you're actually excited to wake up to. This is the Lifecraft Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Lifecraft Podcast. My name is Melissa Lane and I will be your host today. I have been waiting to do the recording for this episode for weeks. I'm on a little vacation / breakaway after I became really ill, and I just decided to take some time off. And I actually wanted to record this properly at home with my setup and in my office, but this will do. So if the sound isn't as great as always, this is why. I've been traveling, but I really felt like sharing about my burnout journey with you. So this is going to be the first of 2 episodes. Today I'm just going to share about what burnout is, what I've learned, how I realized I had burnout, what type of burnout I had, and what was the one thing that I realized caused my burnout. So I'm sharing this so that if you might be going through this as well, you can go on your own self-discovery journey and your own healing journey. And I want you to know that there is a completely different, more fulfilling life after burnout. And it's not a death sentence. It's not something that needs to overtake you. It doesn't need to become a part of your identity. It's something that's kind of like a signal. And I just want to use today's episode to maybe show you what might be the cause for you as well. And maybe you don't even realize you have burnout. And you might have an enlightening moment today and say, that might be why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling today. And then in the next episode, I'm going to be sharing all of the things that I have been doing actively since I realized that I had burnout to begin to heal, and how my life has started to change in a really positive way. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Before we begin, I'd really love for you to subscribe to the podcast. If you feel called to share anything that you heard in the podcast, share it with someone that you love or someone that you think might also be going through what I have been through, or just share it with your community, because there's always someone, especially that funny, loud, happy friend, that might be going through a rough time, and it might serve them in a positive way, I hope. And then I would also love for you to share your thoughts about this podcast with me. You can find me on social media at Melissa Lane Wellness. You can find us at The Lifecraft on all social media platforms. Take a screenshot. Let me know what your thoughts are. Did you have an aha moment? I just love to hear from you. But let's get going with my burnout story. So it was the funniest thing when I realized I had burnout and I started sharing it with people. I spoke to a group of women, some of my mentors and people who I look up to, and I told them in that moment that I have burnout and I'll be doing things in a different way and showing up differently. And one of them said, yes, we saw that coming. And I remember in that moment, my heart sank because I didn't see it coming. I was living sort of my dream. I have always wanted to serve people and help people in a way that is positive. And I've always wanted to have a podcast, and I've always wanted to create a life where I can live on a farm close to nature and just create and be of service to humanity and have my own healing journey and do all of these things. And in that moment, my heart sank because she saw it coming. They saw it coming, but I didn't. And it broke my heart for two reasons. Number one, that I wasn't self-aware enough, that I wasn't in touch with myself enough to see that I was heading down a road that might not be my highest. And secondly, that they saw it coming and they didn't reach out to me and they didn't support me. So the reason I'm starting there is because that was a big moment for me. And I sat there and I thought, wow, what did they see? What did she see? And that's what I want to share today. I wrote a couple of things down and then I got a lot of research in regards to burnout. And I want to start there because sometimes other people see these things happening to us. And you might be looking at someone in your life and seeing them heading towards burnout. I want to encourage you to not be like that woman that I look up to so much that said, you know what, I see Melissa's heading towards that, but I'm just going to keep quiet. Because it feels like a judgment then. Be the type of person that says, I see you heading for a burnout and I'm going to reach out to you. I see you heading for a burnout and I'm going to ask you if I can help you, if I can support you. I'm going to ask you if you see the road that you're heading down. And then secondly, I want you to maybe take an inventory on your life. How aware are you of you? It's a funny place to start with my burnout journey, but I think most of us get into a state of burnout because we aren't aware. We aren't present in our bodies and we aren't just here now. Because if we were, we would become aware enough to know when our cup is running on empty and when it might need to be filled and when we're giving and giving and giving and never filling up. So that awareness is a big one. Whether you're aware of someone else and being of service to them and maybe just saying, hey, I see you. Do you need help? Are you aware of what you're heading towards? Or you might have to have that conversation with yourself today and say, hey, where are you at? Are you filling your own cup? Do you even know what that means? Do you even know where to start? Do you even know who you are if you're not just a giver? And that was a big one for me. So I started having a really rough time at the beginning of the year. I am a health coach and I host this podcast and I have a couple of other things. I never like to call myself an entrepreneur. I don't think I'm like a massive problem solver, but I'm a creative. So I like to create new things and I like to serve people. And I'm a messenger. That's like, if you look at my natal chart, I'm a little messenger and I like to take in information and give out information if I think it can serve you or enlighten you or maybe just spark some sort of awakening in you. And it's been going really well. And I had like at the beginning of the year, a bunch of amazing offers and amazing clients and amazing opportunities. And my life was just expanding in ways that I've always wanted. And I started to realize that I was feeling strange. I started to realize that there were certain things coming up that felt out of character for me. They felt like it wasn't really me. And I can say that confidently because over the past 7 years, I've really spent time getting to know myself in the best way that I can, because I think we're multidimensional and we'll always discover new things about ourselves. But in that moment, I really just sat and I I started to realize that I don't feel like myself. And I just thought, okay, it might just be the pressure. The beginning of 2022 wasn't great, and you've just got more things, and you just need to expand your energy, and you just need to do all of these things. You're getting these opportunities. Look at your life. And that's the one thing that I realized. I was really like kind of gaslighting myself. I'm like, nothing bad is going on. Everything's great. You're making this up. Just completely disregarding the signals that I got. And that might be you. You might be gaslighting yourself. You might be feeling, oh God, I'm feeling strange. I'm really tired. I'm really cynical. I'm really emotional. I'm really reactive. No, you're not. Look at your life. You've got so much to be grateful for. Nothing is that bad. Other people have it worse. And I think that sort of self-gaslighting leads to burnout a lot of time. That's not scientifically correct. That's just my experience of it. I gaslit myself into a place where I started to just ignore all of my signals. So these were some of the signals that I got that I wanted to share with you today. So first of all, burnout isn't just a woohoo thing. It's actually a phrase that was coined by an American psychologist, Herbert Freudenberger. I hope I'm not butchering the poor guy's name. In the 1970s already. And burnout is a real thing. And so many people are experiencing burnout, especially after 2022 and the whole pandemic thing, when life shifted in a way that we didn't expect. And we had to take a pause, and then we had to go again, and we were uncertain, and there were a lot of emotional things happening, and there was a lot of loss and a lot of change. And so a lot of people are going through burnout now. There are so many different types of burnout. So you get overload burnout, under challenge burnout, neglect burnout, chronic illness burnout, medical burnout, autistic burnout, caregiver burnout, emotional burnout, mental burnout, physical burnout. Those are all different types of burnout. So the one that I got was emotional burnout, which is a negative psychological state that may manifest physical, behavioral, and cognitive symptoms. It impairs our normal function and causes severe distress. And as I'm reading that, I'm getting so emotional because I realize now that I've started to heal just how much my physical, behavioral, and cognitive function was affected by this emotional burnout. And the big thing that I really want to just make you aware of today is that it's a gradual decline. It's not like a light switch. It's more like a sunset. You don't have burnout and then it's like, bam, burnout, darkness, horrible. You can't get out of bed. You can't do anything that you used to do. Everything is effort, etc., etc. It's not like that at all. It's more like a sunset. You just start to realize that it's becoming a little bit darker and a little bit darker, and things are a little bit more cynical and things are a little bit more difficult, etc., etc. You might be there too. So I'm going to be sharing some of the things that I went through, some of the symptoms that I had, and then what I realized caused it. And maybe it's a big thing, guys. It's something that no one taught me growing up. It's a big thing, and I think it's a thing that more of us need to learn how to do, because no one taught me this. No one spoke to me about this growing up. No one spoke to me about this even in regards to my coaches, my mentors, my psychologists that I've seen. No one said these words to me, and these were the things that helped me to start healing, which I'll share in the next episode. So one of the first things that I started to notice about myself is I was really cynical, and I felt down most of the time. Now, I am not a cynical person by any means. Not at all. I'm an ENFP in the Myers-Briggs. I'm pretty bubbly. I consider myself quite fun and very funny. No, I'm joking. But I've got a wicked sense of humor. I enjoy life. I really do. And I could make the best out of the shittiest situation. That's really like one of the things that I love about myself. And I was so cynical from like January, February. Everything was just bad. Everything was negative. I could not see the good in any situation, and I didn't want to. I was over it. I didn't want to be that bubbly person. I didn't want to see the good in a situation. Everything was just negative. I was really cynical. And I don't know if that led to the next one or if it's kind of this jumbled up feeling sensation that you head into when you go into burnout, but I was very emotionally volatile, which I hated. My emotions were all over the place, up and down, and I had no ability to respond. I was very reactive. I could not take that pause between something happening and my response, which was strange because I'm a meditation practitioner. I've been meditating for years. I've been regulating my nervous system, and still I ended up in this situation. And still I was emotionally volatile. I would cry at the drop of a hat. I would scream, which is so terrible for me to even say out loud. I would get so angry at my partner for the slightest things. I would be annoyed by people breathing. It was not a good time, and I'm laughing about it now, but it's kind of an embarrassed laughter. I was just so cynical, so emotionally volatile, and so reactive. And I know by March, April, I started feeling like life was just too much. Everything was just too much. The smallest things, like doing the dishes. I would get so negative about just doing the dishes, which before that, before my burnout, and even afterwards, as I'm using it as a practice, I would take that time, that moment when I was washing the dishes, and I would see it as kind of a meditative practice. I would see it as a pause in my day where I could stand there, look out on the mountain, look out over the garden, see the birds, play a podcast, play some music, and it would be a great experience for those 10, 15 minutes. And it was just too much. And if you're there now, you might have burnout. You might have given too much and your cup is running on empty, because life is supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be an adventure. Life is supposed to be this creative thing that we get to do, not something that we have to do. And when it starts feeling that way, I want you really to take a moment and pause and say, something is up. This is not my natural state. I just thought, like I said, I gaslit myself into believing that it's not that bad. That I was just having a bad day, that things were just off. I just blamed something outside of me for the reaction I had. I didn't take ownership of my experience. Learn from my mistake. If you feel like life's too much, the small things in life are just too much, it's a signal. Your soul is screaming at you, saying that this road you're heading down is not your highest. Turn around. Turn around, I've got you. So, the next thing that I felt was fatigued. Oh God, I was so tired. And I pride myself in the amount of energy I have. I wake up with energy. I go to bed with energy. If I'm tired, I'm kind of proud of myself because I have a lot of natural energy. I'm a health coach by profession, so I used all of my modalities to try and boost my energy, from taking cold showers to being active and drinking certain superfoods and supplements and adaptogens. And I hacked my biology and I was like red light therapy and this and that. And I tried everything and I stayed so freaking fatigued. And it wasn't a tired that would go away when I just had a nap or slept over a weekend or took a vacation. I know there's a meme going around that's like, no, I think I have burnout, or I might just need a vacation. And then you go on the vacation and you're like, okay, no, I have burnout. A vacation's not going to solve your burnout, because it's a fatigue that is caused by your entire system, depending on which burnout you have, as I mentioned earlier. But in my case, with the emotional burnout, I was running on empty in my emotional tank. I had nothing more to give, and that led me to not even be able to give to myself. So I was really fatigued all of the time, and none of my tricks worked. As a health coach, that was a blow to my freaking ego. None of my tricks worked. I stayed constantly fatigued. And that led me to even wanting to go back to like drinking, energy drinks and things. And I was like, oh God, no, I can't do that, because why am I so tired? It was really a crazy time. If you're there and you start realizing that you're fatigued for reasons beyond just working hard and being tired, I really want you to look at burnout. And I'm going to be sharing a couple of resources down below, articles that I read and people that really shared their journeys, and it helped me to realize what was going on after I spoke to a professional, which I encourage you to do. So the next thing that I started realizing between Jan and May, when I realized I had burnout, was I was struggling with the simplest of tasks. I really struggled with the simplest of tasks. And I'm going to put all of these symptoms in the description below if you just want to go through them again. But the smallest things in my business, and as I said, just doing the dishes, I really struggled, and my brain felt like it didn't function. It felt like I wasn't as sharp. It felt like I couldn't get through my emails as quickly, and I couldn't come up with advice for my clients as quickly, and everything was fuzzy. And that led to my performance declining, and I was being less productive, which sucked because I felt like my life was starting to bloom, and here I was, not being able to cope and not being able to handle the simplest of tasks. And it really gets to you mentally because you start taking it on as your identity. You don't see that it's something that's happening to you. You see it as something that you are. I am not capable of doing this. I am not sharp enough, clever enough. I can't handle this amount of pressure. I'm not a good coach. I'm not good at my business, etc., etc. And I had to really break that down and say, no, this is something that's happening to you. Can't you see that this is not who you are? You are a great coach. You are really sharp when it comes to business. You are great when it comes to communicating with your partner. There's something wrong with you that makes you have these reactions, that makes you have these actions. And I want to invite you to maybe look at some of the things that you're doing, that you might be tying your identity to. And I want to encourage you to break away from that. Break away from that I am story and see if it's something that is happening to you. See if it's a signal of your spirit, of your body that's trying to communicate to you, and you're taking it on as who you are. Meanwhile, it's just something that you're experiencing. It's a big, big difference. And then the last thing that I went through is I didn't want to see anyone, which isn't great. But I realize now that because I had emotional burnout, I really wanted to seclude myself because I felt like I didn't have anything more to give. And when I started speaking to my mentors and some healthcare professionals that I know, they definitely said that it's not a physical burnout. It's absolutely an emotional burnout. And it's a little bit of a caregiver burnout because of my profession. I would pour into everyone else's cups, but I would never pour into my own. I didn't know how. And that's the thing that I wanted to get to in this episode. Oh God, I'm getting emotional. I really felt so bad for getting myself into a place of burnout. And my ego got in the way regarding, well, Melissa, you are a health coach and you are this and that. And I had to get to a point where I was like, okay, this is where I got myself to. What caused this? And it's very, very easy to blame other people. Well, I didn't get the emotional support that I needed. But what I realized in that moment was, I think I have so many amazing people in my life. And I have created a life I really love waking up to. And even I got into a space of emotional burnout. Why? And I sat with that. And the answer didn't come in a day. It didn't come right then. It came about 2 weeks later when I realized that I created this emotional burnout because no one ever taught me how to receive. It wasn't something that I was taught. Growing up, I was taught to give. I was taught to be there for others. I was taught to think about others, worry about others, invest in other people's lives and in their well-being. I was taught that it was noble. I kind of heard along the way about self-care. I would practice that. I kind of learned how to invest in myself and heal and do all of those things, but no one taught me how to receive emotionally. So when I had to take a really truthful, gnarly look at my emotional state and all of the relationships in my life and that area in my life, I realized that I had the ability to give emotional support. I had the ability to invest in people emotionally and be there and hold space and love and have that non-judgmental environment where people can step into and heal and get and experience a transformation. I had that, and I did that when it came to my coaching, when it comes to my friends, when it came to family and loved ones and everyone, and I would hold that space for them. And I had no idea how to let someone do that for me, because that was never my role. Growing up, I grew up in a household with my mother that would really need a lot from me emotionally, even into adulthood. And I felt unfulfilled as a child, and that was part of my journey. I felt emotionally neglected. And I realized that I healed that through the years. Although I think it's a journey, it's not just a bam healing anything. But I realized that I created this burnout in my life because I didn't know how to receive. So whether I was with people who just wanted to take from me, whether they knew they were doing it or not, or whether I was around people who really wanted to give, like my partner. He wanted to love me. He wanted to give me support. He wanted to be there for me. I have people in my life now who would give anything to see me thrive. They would support me. They would be there for me. I know it. I didn't know how to let them do it. I would push them away. I would close myself off. I would always jump into the people pleaser role, the giver role, the caretaker role, the nurturer role. And I was imbalanced. And I didn't know how to say, I need you. I need your help. I need your support. And I'm going to receive it with every fiber of my being. I'm going to learn how to go into that feminine in a deeper way. And I'm just going to receive. I'm going to let you show up for me. I'm going to let you treat me. I'm going to let you give to me without the feeling of guilt, without the feeling of reciprocal energy. So I need to give back, and I wonder what I can do for you now. And oh, she sent me flowers. Maybe I should send her flowers as well. Or he showed up for me in a great way, so I better plan the next thing that I'm going to do for him. No. Just receive. And receive in a deep spiritual way of knowing that people want to be there for me. People want to love me. People want to support me. People want to see me win. And you might be sitting here now thinking, oh God, Melissa, it's so difficult to believe that about yourself. I know. I grew up in an abusive household. I have been really on a journey of self-love and discovery. I know it's really difficult to believe that you are worthy of receiving, that you're not just here to give, that it's a balance where you get to give and you're allowed to receive with no strings attached. And that was the first part of my healing journey with burnout. Realizing that all of the signs of emotional exhaustion, the cynicism, the detachment from my work and my life, the feeling that I was ineffective in everything that I did, the anxiety, the ups and downs, the insomnia, the exhaustion, the pain, everything that I went through was because I was shielding myself from receiving, because I didn't realize that it's something that you need to learn how to do. You need to learn how to receive. And in the next episode, I'm going to be discovering that with you, because it's still a journey. So by then I might have learned some new things as well when I record that episode. But if you're in a place of procrastination or isolation or escapism or burnout in any way that you might feel like, oh yes, I think this is what's going on with me, I urge you to reach out to someone. I urge you to speak about it and have those words come out of your mouth. There's a power in hearing your own sound current, your own frequency, hearing your own voice say things, having your ears tune into the vibration that is you, hearing what's in your heart, not just having it be in your mind, having it come out of you. If you don't know where to start, reach out to me. I'll send you a couple of links and references. People who really care, people who might help you or might just point you in the right direction. But you don't need to go through this alone. There are so many ways to heal burnout. I've explored so many, and I can't wait to share it in the next episode with you. But I want you to go away with this. You might have never been taught how to receive. And this is your sign to go on that journey. Because learning how to really receive from life, from yourself, not just self-care Sunday, not just I'm going to heal this, not just I'm going to be selfish, none of that crap. Really receiving. Being in the frequency of reception, that big ass frequency that I'll talk about next week. That's something that you can learn to do. There is always something that you can learn in regards to receiving more. So thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the episode. I've never really done episodes like this where I just share my journey. If you want to know more about my life and the healing journey that I've been on, and let me know, then I'll share more episodes like this in between all of the awesome people we have on and content and aha moments and 7 minutes to success series, so that you can just get that spark on a Monday morning to get you into success mode, whatever that means for you. But thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for holding space for me to share this. And I hope it served you. You're worthy of receiving. There is a way out of burnout. I see burnout as a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to do life differently. It's so exciting for me now. It didn't feel that way when I was just diagnosed, but now I see it's this beautiful opportunity for me to reflect, reimagine, and kind of rebrand my life. So I hope to hear from you. Subscribe to the podcast, share a positive review, let us know what you want to hear more of, and I'll see you in the next episode where I'm going to be sharing what I have done to start healing. So much love to you. You matter. I'm glad you're here on this earth. It is such a privilege to be here. Enjoy the journey. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode and taking the time to invest in yourself and in your future. If you loved this episode, be sure to share it with us by leaving a positive review or tagging us in a post or in your stories. Share one thing that stood out or inspired you to live your everyday life better. This helps us create more meaningful episodes for you to enjoy. If you're not already following us on social media, be sure to follow @TheLifeCraft for more inspiration and tools to help you live your most powerful life. And remember, you always have the power to craft a better life for yourself, and we are here to help you do just that. We'll connect again in the next episode, and until then, keep creating a life that you're excited to wake up to. We enjoy bringing you interviews from experts and everyday people so that they can talk about their experiences and share information, tips, and what has worked for them on their journey towards a better life. However, remember that the opinions or advice of our guests and myself, the host, should not be taken as personal, actionable advice and is given as general information and education only. Please always remember to consult a qualified professional before implementing any medical, financial, legal, or other advice that you believe might work for you. LifeCraft is not responsible nor liable for your decision when implementing anything you hear on the podcast. Please listen and act responsibly. The opinions of our guests do not represent the opinions or views of LifeCraft or Melissa Lane personally and are meant as information and general education only.